Then you talked about SLMs and LLMs, so small language models and large language models. And what's been happening? Well, I am sure that many people have been following the news for the past several weeks about Fable 5 and what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
And ChatGPT 5.6. This is starting to get political. Right now, China is saying, hey, maybe we're not going to put some of our models out for the rest of the world because of concerns around national security, which is exactly what the US said. We have concerns around national security. What do you know? Other companies and other countries are going to be doing this as well. Now this is becoming geopolitical. Well, what happens to those countries that aren't the US and that aren't China and they're kind of stuck somewhere in between? So I always say avoid vendor lock-in, right? Vendor lock-in can be a big problem. So small language models are something that you can bring into your organization. Small is a relative term. They can still be pretty large, right? Yep. But there's something that you can house. And then there's large language models, right? And frontier models. Organizations still have absolutely no idea how to manage this because it's still being figured out, right? But at some point, there is going to be a balance of when do we use small language models? When do we use large language models? And now how do we manage that? So remember when I said it's a job killer, but not a job, it's not a job killer, but a job category killer, but new jobs are created. That is a job that is potentially going to be in the future, right? Management of models. And what does that look like? And how do you train your employees on what to use when? We're nowhere near that right now. The vast majority of people are absolutely not doing that. So that's sort of where we're falling. Organizations need to figure that out. Do they want to be locked in with one vendor? Right now, you had talked about costs, right? Eventually, at some point, we're going to have to start paying for these costs. How I like to think about this is back in the day with Uber, right? Everybody knows Uber at this point, whether or not it's allowed in your country or your city or wherever, right? Because laws and regulations needed to catch up to that. What Uber did at first is they were throwing out coupons like confetti. They're like, you want a free ride? Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Why? Because they wanted to build up a user base, right? And so they said, let's go and build up a user base. And it's going to be a loss leader for us. No big deal. We're going to get the app on people's phone. We're going to get them bought into using our app. We're going to show them how amazing our service is. And then they're going to want to use it. And then the price became about on point with cabs and, different taxi providers in different cities. And people said, okay, well, I still like the convenience of being able to call it from my phone. And now in some places it's higher and we have surge pricing that can be astronomical.
Yeah.
But guess
nightmare
what?
stories.
People still use it.
$75,000 or something like that, more than the cost of the employee in some cases. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's an egregious case, but people still use it. They got locked in. What we're seeing with LLMs is that right now, I can pay $20 a month and get access for an individual account with most of these different tools. But enterprise accounts are different. Enterprise accounts are going to be usage based. Some are moving there, and some are, so like Anthropic with Claude, the enterprise account is a usage based account. Most organizations have absolutely no idea what their usage is. Why? Because they've never done it that way before, right? They were paying $20 a month. Copilot is doing the same thing, right? They brought in Copilot Cowork. Well, to get M365 Copilot, it's a flat rate per employee. To get M365 or to get the Copilot Cowork, it's a usage based. You have no idea what your usage is. Yep. If you have not ever been measured on that. And then there was that idea of token maxing for a while that I think folks moved away from because they realized that was just ridiculous. Why? Because they were being measured on the wrong measurement. So they were being measured on usage and they said, fine, you know what? I'm going to show you that I use this and I'm going to token max and I'm going to just use it as much as I can. Yeah. Were they being efficient? No. Was it a good ROI? No. But they were just capitalizing on what they were being measured on. Organizations are going to have to start figuring out what that balance is. They're going to start having to figure out what the real cost of AI adoption is and what the real cost of usage is. And then we're going to start being able to.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be an iterate. I like